Hey everyone, to my loyal followers. Sorry, I feel like this might be not the greatest quality video, but we're going to get right into the topic, something I want to speak about. That's all I do on here. If I find something I want to speak about, I speak about it. It's quite simple. Question that actually frustrates me, irritates me, and causes me some emotional annoyance has been floating around this week, so I want to talk about that. And it's about my old pal David Beckham. The question that I've seen on multiple platforms and multiple people discuss was David Beckham world class? The reason it annoys me is because obviously I feel strongly that the term world class, is almost subjective, but also in any kind of subjectivity, he absolutely was. I'll break down my definition of world class, and I'm going to use an Americanism again to go over that. So hopefully this rings true. So the NFL, obviously it's a national football league. Irritates me no end when they call Super Bowl winners world champions of the National Football League. Doesn't make any sense, obviously. But National Football League, what you do is at the end of the year, you have fans vote, or it's fans, players, people that have played before, kind of very similar to the Ballon d'Or, I think. And they vote the Pro Bowl for the Pro Bowl. So the Pro Bowl is the best players from the AFC and the NFC. So the two kind of conferences within the NFL. And you have, the top two players in each position. So you have essentially a starter and a backup for the game. It's actually a little bit more than that, but we'll just keep it at 2 players for each position. And then you have the Pro Bowl, and then you have the All Pro. So you have the top 2 players from both conferences make the actual team of the year, if you will. So the team of the year, it's obviously an easy concept for everyone to gather. So you have 2 players that make that team of the year, and then again you have the 2 essentially conference players. It's almost like if you did like a European South American deal, and you selected the 2 best players in each position to play against the South Americans, and then you took maybe the top there. So that's my definition of world class. Expand that worldwide. Who's the, if you're going to select 2 teams to play against each other, you need a squad. So you need a 26-person squad or 24-person squad, however you want to do. And you select a squad. Who would make that squad? And we'll go back to 1999, 2000, 2001. Primarily, everyone was playing a 4-4-2, primarily, or 4-5-1. At that time, so you would obviously pick players on, okay, if we were going to pick a world team with backups, who would be in that team? Well, if you're picking a right midfielder for that span, let me pause there. I'm going to just tell you about my biases here. I'm a Manchester United fan. I'm English. David Beckham was a hero and a villain for England and Manchester United. I went on to play for Real Madrid, went to play for LA Galaxy, AC Milan, PSG, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But the reason right off the bat that I can kind of quantify why he's world class is that at that time, if you're telling me that Beckham wouldn't have been selected in an all-European team at right midfield, or as, one of 2 at right midfield, I completely disagree with you if you're telling me that. People always talk about David Beckham's free kicks. He was the best free kick taker on the planet. He was the best corner kick taker on the planet. But he offered so much more. I mean, his crossing ability was sensational. I mean, if you were playing a 4-2-3-1 and you wanted him to be a winger, that wouldn't work. In that scenario, he'd be a number 8, okay? But his crossing, his assist numbers, not just that, the amount of times he stepped up on big occasion, I think that's often what separates the elite from the simply outstanding, is when you step up. I mean, obviously the Greece goal, the corners in the Manchester United final, just stepping up and taking the penalty against Argentina in 2002 after everything that had gone on, getting us out of jail against Ecuador, a good Ecuador team in 2006, and just his overall performances when they needed to be elite were elite. His assist numbers, both for Manchester United and Real Madrid in Champions League, are a joke. And he was an outstanding midfielder, an elite right midfielder that would have got into any team at that time. Not only that, I mean, my point, I could have started with this, my point is really made here to me, is that he came 2nd or 3rd, I can't remember which one, in the Ballon d'Or. Well, that's all players, all positions. And he finished 2nd or 3rd one year. And I think actually 2 years in a row, maybe he finished top 3. He was top 10 multiple times. I don't know. Again, that's all positions. So if he's finishing top 10 in the world, in all positions, clearly he's the best, or 1 or 2 or 4, to use my kind of example that I gave, best right midfielders in the world. So when you say, was he world class, I don't get it. And people say, well, he's a superstar, he was a rock star, his fame made people think that he was better than what he was. I completely disagree with that. Again, I actually think the fact that he was so famous outside of football actually hindered people realizing how good he was in football, and almost putting that above his footballing ability. I think without the fame and the fortune, we'd look at Beckham in a different light. Obviously, the 100-odd caps for England, I think he's tied with Gerrard, and just behind, I think he might be Rooney, might be 4th on the list for caps for England, captain England lots of times. This is a world-class player by every quantifiable measure. So when people say, oh, not for me, wasn't world-class, I don't know what they're talking about or what they're thinking, really, to be honest. I think they're almost comparing him, because he was on the right, to people like, I don't know, Salah, Hazard, Saka right now, all these kind of great players right now. But it's a different game. The game's moved on. And I heard Martin O'Neill actually make a really good point the other day. If you put these players in today's game, whether it be Georgie Best, whether it be, Graham Souness, you go through great British players and put them in the Premier League right now, they would absolutely be as good, if not better, as Martin O'Neill said, because they'd have the technology, they'd have the fitness levels, they'd have the nutrition, they'd have everything. He said George Best would score more goals now because he'd be looked after better too. I completely agree with that. Same with Paul Gascoigne. In this era, he would be unbelievable. So these great players of the past would absolutely be great players now. And so with Beckham, I think with Beckham, it would just be the fact that he wouldn't necessarily be playing as a number 7 as it is today, as kind of that right winger. He would be more of a number 8 in the midfield on that double pivot, if you will. Or I hate the phrase double pivot, because I don't even think it exists. But if you put the midfield 3 in that, it's quite interesting. If you call it M1, M2, and M3, and just give them roles, and typically in certain scenarios, what they would do in certain scenarios, whether it be, in defense or attack, first attacker, second attacker, third attacker. It's kind of a coaching philosophy around it, but he would absolutely get into midfielders and would be elite at that time. Again, I've got to be honest with my biases. He was a hero of mine. He still is. Unbelievable what he's achieved in the game, and his career was unbelievable. And I'm only 2 episodes into the documentary. I'm going to finish it this weekend. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, by the way. But I think that he just gets not enough credit for his actual ability on the field. His work rate was second to none. I mean, in that Greece game, it wasn't the fact he took over the game and ran the game and was unbelievable, because he was. That was go back and watch it. It's an unbelievable performance. And we had Gerrard and Scholes in the midfield in that game, and they were pants in that game. He literally carried the team on his back and got us to the World Cup that year. And it's such a big symbolic occasion. But he did that week in, week out for Manchester United, and he was unbelievable. All the title teams he was on, he was unbelievable. The goals he'd scored, just the possession, his awareness, his close control. You hear about people that played with him. I remember Jimmy Bullard saying, I always thought Becks was like a long ball merchant thing. You put him in like a little 8v8 possession game. He was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe how good he was, Just unbelievable player, absolutely world class. Is he one of the best of all times? No, he's not. He's not going to be up there with Messi, Ronaldo, or even, for me, like players like Zidane, players like, Beckham. I can totally get if there's a top 25 of all time, Beckham not being in it. But in his career, in his peak, over a period of at least 6, 7, 8 years, he was, to my definition, what I gave earlier, which I think actually is a great definition, if I do say so myself. Beckham was absolutely world class. Okay, comment, like, subscribe. I'm going to keep doing these. I enjoy it. Bye.